In the wild and unforgiving land of Oklahoma, where dreams could die as quickly as they were born, one broken woman found hope in the most unexpected place, a stranger's kind eyes and a simple, brave question. It was the year 1889. The Oklahoma Territory had just been opened for new settlers. Thousands of hopeful people rushed in with nothing but dreams in their hearts. They wanted land, a new home, and a better life. But the land was harsh. Hot winds blew across the empty plains. Sickness spread fast. Many people lost everything, their money, their health, and sometimes even their lives. Ruth Ann was only 29 years old when her world shattered. Her husband, Samuel, was a hard-working carpenter. He had big dreams. He wanted to build a small house for them and raise a family in this new land. Every day he worked with his tools, cutting wood and hammering nails under the burning sun. But one terrible fever came suddenly. Samuel grew weaker each day. Ruth Ann stayed by his side night and day, wiping his forehead, holding his hand, and whispering prayers. Nothing helped. In just a few days, Samuel closed his eyes forever and left her alone. The pain was unbearable. Ruth Ann cried for many nights. She felt completely lost. There was no family nearby, no money, no one to protect her. Slowly, she had to sell everything they owned just to survive. First the tent, then the pots and pans, even her beautiful white wedding dress that Samuel had loved so much. At last, only Samuel's wooden tools remained, his hammers, saws, chisels, and planes. Those tools were the last memory of her husband's hard work and love. One dusty afternoon, Ruth Ann sat on the side of the busy street in the small town. Her clothes were old and torn. Her face looked tired and pale. Hunger twisted in her stomach. She had placed Samuel's tools in front of her, hoping someone would buy them. Tears filled her eyes as she thought, "This is all that is left of my life." That was when a tall, strong man with calm and gentle eyes stopped in front of her. His name was Elijah Kane. He was quiet by nature, with broad shoulders and a kind face that showed he had also known deep sorrow. He looked at the tools carefully, then took out $10 from his pocket and offered it to her. Ruth Ann shook her head. "Sir, these tools are not worth $10. She said in a weak voice. "You are giving too much." Elijah smiled softly and replied, "I'm not buying the tools, ma'am. I'm buying the right to ask you one question." Ruth Ann was surprised. She looked up at him with confusion and fear. What could this stranger possibly want to ask? Elijah took a deep breath and spoke clearly. "Will you become my wife?" The words hit Ruth Ann like a warm wind on a cold day. She could not believe what she had just heard. A complete stranger was asking her to marry him? Her heart started beating fast. Part of her wanted to run away. Another part felt a tiny spark of hope after so many dark days. Elijah continued honestly, "I know this sounds sudden and strange. I'm not a perfect man. My first wife and our little child died a few years ago. I live alone on my small ranch outside town. I work hard every day. I can offer you a home, food, and safety. I will give you 1 full year. If after 1 year you are not happy, I promise I will let you go free with no questions asked. I only ask for a chance to take care of you." Tears rolled down Ruth Ann's cheeks. She thought about her empty life, the cold nights, and the fear of tomorrow. She thought about Samuel and how he would have wanted her to live, not just survive. After a long silence, she whispered, "Yes, I will come with you." That same week, Ruth Ann moved to Elijah's ranch. The house was simple, a wooden cabin with a small barn and open fields around it. At first, everything felt strange and awkward. They spoke very little. Ruth Ann cooked meals quietly. Elijah worked outside from morning till evening. They shared the same roof, but lived like polite strangers. But slowly, small things began to change. They started eating dinner together at the wooden table. Elijah would tell her about his day, how the cows were doing, or how the crops were growing. Ruth Ann began to share stories about Samuel and their short, happy days. One evening, while sitting near the fire, Elijah told her about his first wife and the pain of losing his child. Ruth Ann listened with tears in her eyes and then shared her own sorrow. For the first time in many months, she felt someone truly understood her pain. As weeks turned into months, respect grew into friendship, and friendship slowly turned into deep love. Elijah was patient and kind. He never rushed her. He helped her feel safe again. Ruth Ann started smiling more. She began to take care of the house with new energy. Sometimes they would walk together in the fields at sunset, talking about simple dreams for the future. They got married in a quiet ceremony with just a few neighbors. Their love felt real and strong. In the coming years, God blessed them with 3 beautiful children, 2 boys and 1 girl. The sound of children's laughter filled the house. Elijah taught the boys how to use the carpenter tools that once belonged to Samuel. Ruth Ann watched with a full heart as her new family grew. They even used those same old tools to build extra rooms for their growing family. Every nail they hammered carried memories of both past and present. Life was not always easy. The land was tough. There were droughts, storms, and sickness. But together they faced every difficulty with courage. Their bond became deeper with each challenge. 15 years passed peacefully. Then one day, trouble arrived. A greedy man named Cyrus Walker came with false papers. He claimed that the land belonged to him and demanded they leave. He wanted the ranch for himself. Elijah was shocked and angry. This was the land he had worked on for years. This was the home where his children were born and where he had found love again. Elijah fought back with all his strength. He went to court, gathered witnesses, and talked to lawyers. The fight was long and painful. There were many sleepless nights. Ruth Ann stood by his side, holding his hand and praying. She reminded him of the promise he had made to her years ago, that they would face life together. When things looked darkest, their neighbors and friends came forward. They had seen Elijah's honesty and hard work over the years. They stood up for the family in court. After many tense days, the judge finally gave the verdict in Elijah's favor. The ranch was saved. Ruth Ann hugged Elijah tightly and cried tears of relief and joy. Their home, their love, and their future were safe once again. The years continued. The children grew up, got married, and had their own families. Elijah and Ruth Ann grew old together, still holding hands like young lovers. Their love never faded. It only became quieter and deeper. In 1921, Elijah fell ill. Ruth Ann stayed beside him every moment, just like she had done with Samuel many years before. On his last day, Elijah looked at her with the same calm eyes she had seen on that dusty street long ago. With a weak but peaceful smile, he whispered, "The best decision I ever made was asking you that question. Elijah passed away that night, and Ruth Ann's heart broke again, but this time it was filled with beautiful memories instead of emptiness. A few years later, Ruth Ann also left this world peacefully. She was surrounded by her children and grandchildren. They buried her next to Elijah on the same land where they had built their home and their life together. Even today, if you walk on that quiet piece of Oklahoma land, you could almost feel the story of two broken souls who found each other. A story that proves even when everything seems lost, a new beginning is possible. Love can arrive in the strangest ways, sometimes through a simple question from a stranger, and the strongest relationships are built not on perfection, but on honesty, trust, and the courage to give someone a chance. Thank you for riding along on this story. Drop your location and time one more time if you'd like, and if it touched you, like, send some stars, follow, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. See you in the next tale.